Hey guys, I'm back with a new video, and what I wanted to talk to you about is something that's really close to my heart, and that is a program called Keyboard Maestro. This program is a super nifty program which you can create lots of different automations. You can go really beyond what Nuendo or even Pro Tools can offer you in terms of keyboard shortcuts and automations. What I want to show you is how I've been able to automate a task which was a bit long and lengthy in order to do it, and it took a lot of key presses. And I've got a little session here open of a podcast I was working on, and usually with a podcast or with any content that has lots of voice, lots of little mouth clicks and little things like that, in terms of dialogue and voice content, all these clicks need to be reduced and they have to be taken out. Ideally, you would say that you just take a large chunk of audio and you throw that into RX11, and you press mouth declick and it removes all the clicks at once. But if you really want to take your time and do it in a detailed way, you just only apply the declicking on sections that you audibly very clearly hear it. So if you don't hear it in a certain place, then don't remove any clicks because you think, oh, I have to remove clicks everywhere. You end up destroying more than what you keep. So it's also a little tip to make, just only follow your ears, and only when you hear a click or a mouth click, then to remove that. Now, what happened with me in my case is that I would encounter a piece of audio and then realize, oh, okay, well, this audio is very clicky. It has lots of mouth noises. Then I would, in my key commands, I press H. So when I press H, it opens the direct offline processing menu. And then from here, you can set favorites in Nuendo, so which plugin you open. Then I always click RX11, and then it automatically applies RX11 Connect. And what that really does is it opens the plugin, it applies the plugin on the clip that I've got selected here, it sends it over to RX11, and then from RX11 I'm able to tweak and fiddle with the sound on this. RX11 is routed via RX monitor, so which means that the output of RX11 goes through another plugin which is called RX monitor. Now let me show you this. When you're in the mix window, what I like to do and like to have is, let me show you this here. Have an input track which is called RX, and on this input track have the RX11 monitor loaded in. And so the routing goes like this. You send audio to RX11, RX11 sends back the audio to RX11 monitor, so it goes into an input track. So this is an input track called RX, and from this point onwards, let me just go back to where we were. From this point onwards, the input track that I've got selected, so I've got a track selected at the moment, and when I look at the input track, then I've named it, I've picked RX. Now, why did I do that is because when I press the input monitoring on this track, so I enable the input monitoring, then I'm listening to what I get from RX11 right in my session and in my mixing session. So if I've got a lot of plugins on top of the audio that the audio channel that I have, I've got a compressor going through the group settings. When I am working in RX, I want to hear I want to hear what I'm editing with the exact same processing and plugins that are going through my chain. So that's why when we work with RX, we actually this is the best way to work with it, because you will always be able to listen to what comes out of RX as if it's going through the very same channel that the audio is on. So this is a really important tip that I've never come across before, because the routing is always a little bit faffy and a little bit difficult to get used to. But that's one thing that I always have to do. When I select a clip, I select the clip, then I enable input monitoring on the track. I press H in order to show direct offline processing. I have to then click on RX11 Connect, and in order for RX to then be loaded here, for example, I take a mouth click away that is here, and then I need to send it back. So when I send it back, it works in it sends the audio, and you can see that the audio is sent back by the audio loading into this RX Connect plugin. And then all that needs to happen is then you press apply, and when you press apply, the audio clip that you've got selected is being replaced by the audio that you had in RX, and you fiddled and tweaked, and you made sound clear. So what I don't really like is that on a bunch of random clicks, I end up with a plugin loaded into the direct offline processing, and because I don't particularly like that, I routed my keyboard shortcut for F7 to make this plugin effects permanent. So therefore, this dialog comes up and it says, "Are you sure you cannot undo this?" So I press sure, and there you go. It's the workflow. Oh yeah, and of course you want to listen to the track again, so you have to undo the input monitoring, and then you can listen to your audio clip that has been removed from any clips and you've processed in RX11. Now, all of this, what I was explaining, is very lengthy and very tedious if you have to do this over 100 times in a session that is 40 to 45 minutes long for one episode. Now imagine 8 episodes. So this takes a very long time. So what I found that I can do with Keyboard Maestro, and that is where we are going back to, is I could automate a lot of these steps. So I made 4 automations sending to RX, and then sending back from RX11 to Nuendo, pressing apply, and then making the audio processing in the direct offline processing permanent on the audio clip. So everything you see here are keystrokes and little pauses for after the keystrokes, or otherwise the keystrokes goes too fast. So let me just show you, for example, to send to RX. When I send to RX, the first key I press is 7. So my 7 that you can see here, and oh, I forgot to turn on Keycaster. So there we go. My 7, when that's pressed, enables and disables the input monitoring of the track. Now, in the Keyboard Maestro, there's a little pause after when you press the 7, and that is in order to not have the keys go too fast, because otherwise it's it just apparently this is what happens. Not all the key commands will be pressed at the same time, so I usually add a little pause of 0.3 seconds, which helps the program also not to fire all the key commands at once. When you open Keyboard Maestro, it's fairly straightforward how you get these options, because here at the bottom you get a new action. You can press new action, and then it gives you all this huge list of things that you can click, things that you can move, things that you can see. So Keyboard Maestro really is a very, very detailed, in-depth automation tool that you can use on a program like Nuendo, but or any program that you use, Pro Tools as well. Now, it also types in the H, which, as I mentioned before, is the direct offline processing. Now, what I've done here, and this is a very interesting thing that you can do with Keyboard Maestro, is in Keyboard Maestro you can click on things that normally don't have a key command. So when I go into Nuendo and I show you that in my favorites I've got RX11 Connect here, I still have to press H, and then I have to move my mouse, and I have to go from my mouse to that. So the whole, if you think about a smooth workflow, you try to eliminate moving the mouse. So this is something that Keyboard Maestro can do, is you can say, okay, move my mouse to this RX11 Connect icon, and when it's moved there, click the mouse, and then we get our audio sent to RX11. So this means that you can actually automate everything that you see on your screen. For example, let's say Nuendo didn't have a way to automate the on and off of the talkback button, and you have to press it manually. So here, this green button that I've got selected, that's my talkback on and off. Well, luckily there is a way to make a shortcut for that in Nuendo, but imagine if there wasn't. Then you could use Keyboard Maestro to move the mouse to your talkback and click it, and then you would be able to just use key commands rather than having to move the mouse. Now, to show you in Keyboard Maestro how that looks, is that you have to have an image of what you're going to click, and this is a bit small to see for you, I think, but just so you know, this little image has this RX11 Connect as a image. So what I do is I just press Shift Command 4. I make a screenshot of the section that I want to be clicked. Then at the right bottom of the screen, there's a little indication of what you want to do with the screenshot. It doesn't show me here, but I always just press save to clipboard, and now my screenshot is saved to the clipboard. And when I'm in RX, I choose when I'm in Keyboard Maestro, I choose this image, I press paste, and then the mouse will always go to this section of my window, and it will click what I wanted to click. So that is one shortcut which I made with Keyboard Maestro. Now, the other one, which is a bit more lengthy, is when we are in RX11 and we want to go back to Nuendo and send this audio clip back. That one is RX11 to Nuendo. Now, the thing when you work with RX11 and with Nuendo is that it's known to be very buggy. So when you and by bugginess, I mean the RX11 Connect is set on a clip in Nuendo, And when you are working in RX11 and you send audio back, so we press send back, what you just saw here, where you see the blue waveform of the audio being loaded into the RX Connect plugin, you don't always see that. That doesn't always happen, and it's a bit of a known bug with RX11 in combination with Nuendo. Now, I figured out there's a way around this bug, and that is when you are working in Nuendo and you send RX11. No, sorry, let me explain that differently. The workaround to this bug is you just have to make sure you close and open your direct offline processing window. That's it. You just close and open it. And then this RX Connect moment where the audio goes from RX11 to Nuendo, then it will always work. So it's just a little workaround. I just do it really quickly by pressing H and H again, and then I know that my clip that is selected will always have the audio from RX11, so I can quickly press apply. My new audio is over that clip. I press F7, and then I get rid of my direct offline processing window, and I have my input monitoring selected. I turn that off with 7 again. So this is a way where you can automate anything you like, and also think about it as in, for example, when you've got a plugin on. Let me just select a random plugin. Also here, you can make screenshots of the buttons of your plugin, and then you can use Keyboard Maestro to maybe switch analog on or off if that is something that you use very often, or you have to do every time you open this plugin and you use this plugin often. So yeah, it's actually for your imagination. Come to think of all the different tiny things that you might want to be able to automate. Now, also really useful with Keyboard Maestro is that you can work with selecting menu items. So what you're seeing here is Nuendo, of course, and then if you look at the top, you've got File, and then you've got this whole sub menu of things. Edit, you've got this sub menu of things. Now, the good thing about Nuendo is that all the sub menus, almost all of them, not all of them, but almost all of them, they have shortcuts that you can use, and shortcuts that you can assign to all these menu items. Now, when you come across a moment where there are no shortcuts for it, then something like Keyboard Maestro can be a good workaround in order to create a shortcut for a menu item that you might be missing. Now, the good thing with Keyboard Maestro is also that you can just switch apps. So let's say that something in RX that you often have to do, and RX is a little bit difficult with this, is you have to let's say declip. Well, in order to declip here, you have to unclick this declip and then click it again, and then a little window pops open of declip, which is here, and then you can start using it. Well, if you use declip often, or if you have a Stream Deck, for example, and you want to just use one single button in order to show declip, then you can press that button, and then you don't have to think about moving your mouse. So here you can tell that I'm very focused on how many times I have to move and click my mouse, because lots of these operations I have to do over and over and over again. And I always like to think about different unique ways to automate boring and repetitive tasks to only make sure that I'm left with the fun ones. And in my case, the boring and repetitive tasks are actually fun to automate because I like automation. So this was my video about Keyboard Maestro, RX11 and Nuendo. Please feel free to comment anything. Also, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll always respond to them, and I can make custom videos about anything regarding this topic. If you made it this far, thank you for listening this far, and please like and subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.